obviously our assignment has changed a little bit with virtual learning. So what I have done is I have created a checklist of things based off of what I've heard you say or things that have happened to me that I thought could be helpful with virtual learning. So I've created an effective checklist, and effective checklists are precise, easy, and practical. So they usually have between 5 and 9 items, which are clear with simple and precise wording, and they all can fit on one page, and they're easy to read. So all of these things in mind, I came up with about 5. So I'm going to run these past you and see what you're thinking. Okay, so the first one is uploading photos to a Google Doc. The second one is resizing photos on a Google Doc. The third is moving photos around with text. The fourth one is resizing and rotating photos that are incorrectly oriented. And then the fifth one is changing the brightness of a photo when it's like too dim or too dark.
Oh, I love that too, yeah.
So are there any things that you have stumbled upon that you might want to add?
I would like to, when you have a document and you have an empty page, and this is what I found yesterday, a student created a page and dumped his work on a first page, and I moved it down to the page it belonged to, but left with this empty page. I don't know how to get rid of an empty page.
Okay, so deleting an empty page?
Deleting an empty page. That could be at the front of the document, at the back of the document, or in the middle of a document. I have a fear of getting rid of valuable things. So how do you get rid of a page?
Okay. Actually, I've come up with 2 things that I can help you with. Okay. And do you have something else?
Yeah, I've got 2 more. Moving pictures, which is one of the things successfully. I move pictures and I have a difficult time with that because they move up and they just, they disappear. Half of them cut off. So you mentioned that. I'm very interested in that. And then also, I heard that you can, just like when you screen save, I heard that you can videotape, save, like instead of screenshot saving, you can videotape.
Yes.
Is it pictures or is it full time? Tell me how it works.
Okay, so videotaping your screen if you wanted to show something or demonstrate something?
Yes.
Okay,
I love that.
Perfect. Well, we're still between 5 and 9 items, which is great.
Okay.
I am going to model each item, and then I'm going to allow you to try it on your own, and we can talk a little bit about what that timeline will look like as well. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down, and I'm going to present my screen, and I'm going to show an example from one of my kids' virtual learning work, and then I'll move it back so that it is what it's supposed to be.
Well, let me also say, I don't know how to split the screen. I watched a video, and I haven't done it yet, but to be able to see you and the work, that is huge. So
Okay.
If we don't have time today, let's put that for later.
Okay, we'll put that on the agenda. Okay. So I'm going to share just my window, okay? Let me know. Can you see this window?
Yep.
Okay. Can you see the whole window or just a part of it?
I can see the whole window.
Perfect. Okay. So this is an example of some of my students' work.
Right.
And what you're going to do, so the first thing we talked about was uploading a photo. So we talked a little bit about this in our technology mini-master, but I've had to do some demonstrations for kids. So just in case you have some kids who are uploading into maybe the work folder instead of into the document,
Totally.
I have been advising them to save to the desktop and then go up here to insert image and upload from the computer. And then once that is done, so I'm going to go into download. So let's see, if I wanted to upload this is an example of some boxes and bullets that they did for their writing. So the next item was resizing photos. So just like I did, you drag all of the points to where you want them. But really, when I talk about resizing photos, I think about cropping them. So there's all of this, do you see all this extra space at the bottom?
Right.
So if you double click on it, you can move these black lines.
Oh, Okay.
and then press return, and you can make the picture just like a little bit smaller so you can just see what you need.
Okay.
Which
I've
is
always been clicking on that middle button. When you click on a picture, you've got 3 options down below. It says move with text.
yes, perfect. So that was my next thing.
Okay.
When you're moving the photos around the text, you say wrap text, and then sometimes it'll make it. I'm trying to think of an example of like maybe when it's like really big and it's hard to see the whole screen. So I will actually zoom out to 50 to see it. And sometimes it makes it when there's multiple pictures, it makes them easier to move because you can just see the whole screen at one time, which is kind of nice. And then sometimes the students even upload their images upside down. So if you click on the image options, you can go to rotations and you can rotate it 90 degrees.
Nice.
Until you get the rotation that you want. And then also we had talked about changing the brightness of a photo. So one of the kids, the contrast of their photo, it was so bright I couldn't read their text. So you can actually go, do you see this under adjustments? And you can change the transparency, or you could change the brightness. So like if you need it brighter, right? So obviously some of these are extreme, but it might help with a kid who has their photo that is very wonky, just how they've taken it, right?
Yes.
Then you mentioned about, I'm going to take away this photo because you mentioned about deleting an empty page. So I'm going to pretend like there is an empty page in the middle of this document. So you're saying like, if you were to see like this page in here, and then you try to go, I'm pressing delete, but like it doesn't delete.
Right.
So a lot of times it has a lot of spaces in between, and you have to highlight it and then delete, and then it'll take that page out.
Got it.
So sometimes it's just because the person has put a lot of like returned a lot of times to go to the next page, and then when you're trying to delete it, it's too many like returns to delete.
That makes sense.
And then the last thing you talked about, you talked about worrying that you're going to delete some of their work if you're deleting a page.
Yes.
You can always, so like, say I gave this child feedback and say I delete my name by accident.
Right.
I can actually press, if you want to write this down, Command Z, and it'll undo what I just did.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the same thing as that go back thing.
Right. So if you were to accidentally delete some of their work, it's the same thing. But sometimes it applies to it. This applies on Google Docs, but the Command Z is across all documents all over the computer, which is kind of nice because some documents you can't go back and undo what you did.
True.
And then finally, you wanted to know about videotaping your screen. And with videotaping your screen, you can actually do it the same way that you do screenshots, except you're going to do Command-Shift-5. And you have to make sure that your audio is on if you're wanting to speak in the video. But other than that, you just press record, and then there's a stop button at the top of your screen, and then you just press stop when you're done.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's been very helpful. I've had to make some how-to videos for my students on how to operate in Google Drive and Google Docs for this virtual learning. And I've been using something called Screencast-O-Matic, which is like a third-party app. But this is so much easier because this is just already integrated with our Mac stuff, right? Okay, so I'm going to stop presenting. And was wondering if you had any questions from what I just showed you.
Okay, when you move, yes, I do. This is for the future. I'm writing down future stuff.
Okay.
When you move your articles that the kids have put in, I'm finding that my articles are just like they do not move easily. And then half of them shown, half of them's disappeared. So I'm hitting the go back button. And I am shrinking them down, make it easier. but it is just frustrating. I mean, I just get to the point where I'm frustrated playing with those pictures, moving them around.
Yes, I agree. It is so frustrating.
Okay.
And so
Okay, so I'm not alone.
that is where the document comes in, where you can zoom out. So did you see when I went out to 50?
Yeah. How do you zoom? Because I can't read some of the things. How do you zoom? Oh, I go over to that.
So
150.
at the very top, you
Yeah.
can zoom in and zoom out. And when you zoom out, those pictures are a lot easier to move.
Yeah, because you know what I'm actually finding is if I take a picture of the item and zoom in on my phone, I can actually read. Isn't that terrible?
No, you can also ask them to re-upload the picture with more detail.
Well, I mean, I've told them, please take pictures. I have students that go like this. Here's my homework. And you're like, sweetie, I can't read it.
I
mean,
just see your face.
That's right. I can see your face. Well, actually, they've got it covered by their face. I mean, this is what they're doing. Is they're going like this. Here's my homework from a distance. And
Right.
I'm like, sweetheart, I cannot read it. Plus, it's light pencil. I can't get it
Right.
dark. And,
So that's where some of the contrast will come in, which will help, but they
Yeah.
really need to not even be in the photo. But
Okay.
yeah, the inching is something that was really bothering my lead teacher and I, and so
Uh-huh.
that's where the zooming out of the document is really helpful. It completely stops doing that. I don't know why. But when you zoom out, it doesn't inch the same way. You can move photos around much easier.
So you're saying zoom in, zoom out on the picture, and then it moves a lot easier?
So no, it's actually on the Google Doc. You don't zoom in and out on the picture. So like
Okay.
at the very top where it has fonts and sizes, there's something that's going to say 100%, and you can change that. So I usually change it to 50, and then I can move the photos around, and then I put it back at 100 so I can read everything.
Okay. All right. I get it.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. That sounds great because I spend so much time moving pictures. It's just.
And honestly, it's a little bit because our kids should be uploading through Google Drawing, but it's just like too many steps for them. So
Yes.
we're uploading it this way, but it doesn't work the same way as Word, where like in Word you can move things much easier, but for some reason in Google Docs it's harder.
Right.
I don't know. That's what we've come up with.
Okay.
So do you have any other questions before I ask you something?
No, I'm good. I've got things for the future, if there is a future. So.
Oh, great. And then when do you think that you could try some of these action items on your own? Are you thinking like this afternoon?
This afternoon when I do homework, we have to decide who's going to do biographies and who's going to do math. But I will definitely be using this this afternoon.
Oh,
so.
perfect. Okay, so then I'll circle back around with you and see
Okay.
if you were able to troubleshoot some of those things, or if you
Yeah.
still had problems, or if they were helpful. And then we can look back at your checklist and check some of them off based on what you're seeing.
That'd be excellent. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Well, I can't wait to talk again with you soon.
Me too. Thanks. I appreciate this. This is really